History whispers their names. Cleopatra, Mary, Marie, Catherine, these women draped in power and shadowed by scandal still hold us captive. Their stories are echoes of ambition, desire, and the intoxicating danger of wielding true influence. They dared to seize control in a world determined to keep them silent. Scandal, like a potent perfume, has the power to both entice and repel. Cleopatra, as Cleopatra, my relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony were strategic alliances. Mary Tudor, England's first Queen Regnant, earned the moniker Bloody Mary. Catherine the Great, the Empress of Russia, rose to power through cunning and ambition. To reduce these women to their scandals is to miss the true essence of their stories. Cleopatra was a brilliant strategist and a skilled diplomat. Mary Tudor faced tremendous opposition but never wavered in her commitment. Catherine the Great was a visionary leader who expanded Russia's borders. The stories of these scandalous women continue to fascinate us centuries later. They were ambitious, intelligent, and resourceful, navigating power in a male-dominated world. They challenged the status quo, expanding the boundaries of what was acceptable for women. Join us as we uncover the truth, passion, and enduring legacy of history's most scandalous women. The Nile shimmered under a sky ablaze with stars. Cleopatra. I was no ordinary ruler. I was a woman of unparalleled intellect, ambition, and allure. At 18, Cleopatra became co-ruler of Egypt alongside her younger brother. Cleopatra, I understood that my survival rested on my ability to outmaneuver my enemies. The young queen quickly discovered that sharing power was a dangerous game. Cleopatra. Refusing to be sidelined, I fought back with cunning and determination. Caesar saw in Cleopatra a valuable ally, a ruler who could help him solidify Roman influence. Cleopatra, the Roman Senate viewed our alliance with suspicion. The relationship between Cleopatra and Caesar blossomed amidst turmoil. Cleopatra. I envisioned a future where my son could unite Egypt and Rome. Caesar's assassination left Cleopatra vulnerable. Cleopatra. I needed a new protector, a powerful Roman general. Antony and Cleopatra, a love forged in ambition. Cleopatra as Cleopatra. I arrived on a golden barge, a vision of opulence and power. Antony, captivated by her reputation, was instantly smitten. Cleopatra as Cleopatra, I saw an opportunity to realize my dream of a unified kingdom. The Battle of Actium marked the beginning of the end for Antony and Cleopatra. Cleopatra as Cleopatra. With our kingdom surrounded, Antony and I chose to end our lives. Cleopatra's death, shrouded in mystery, enhanced her mystique. Cleopatra was a shrewd politician, a brilliant strategist, and a fierce defender of her kingdom. The Tower of London held a young princess captive. Anne Boleyn as Mary Tudor, I possessed the steely resolve of my Tudor bloodline. Her path was fraught with danger, betrayal, and heartbreak. Anne Boleyn as Mary Tudor, I rallied my supporters, my claim bolstered by the loyalty of the English people. A crown disputed, the price of heresy.
Mary rode into London in triumph, the cheers of the crowds a symphony of hope. She was, at long last, Queen of England, but her reign was shadowed by religious strife. England, divided between Catholics and Protestants, watched with anticipation. Mary, a devout Catholic, sought to heal the religious rift. She yearned to return her kingdom to the Catholic Church.
The burnings began, a torrent of fire and blood. The air grew thick with the stench of burning flesh. England descended into an abyss of fear and suspicion. Neighbors turned on neighbors, families torn apart. Mary became a figure of dread, synonymous with cruelty. Bloody Mary. reign of terror or religious fervor?
History, often written by the victors, has painted Mary Tudor as a monster, a one-dimensional caricature of religious extremism. But to understand Mary, we must delve beneath the surface, past the flames and the bloodshed, to the heart of a queen who believed with unwavering conviction that she was acting in the best interest of her people and her God. Mary's upbringing had been harsh, her faith tested time and again. She had witnessed her mother's humiliation, her own legitimacy questioned, her religion declared heresy. Her experiences had forged in her a steely resolve, an unwavering belief in the righteousness of her cause. She saw the Protestant Reformation as a dangerous heresy, a threat to the very fabric of society.
The burnings, though abhorrent to modern sensibilities, were not uncommon in Tudor England. Her father, Henry VIII, had ordered the executions of both Catholics and Protestants who dared to defy his authority. Religious persecution was a tool of statecraft, a means of consolidating power and silencing dissent. Mary, however, seemed to lack the political cunning of her father. She ruled with her heart, her actions driven by a deep-seated piety and a desire to heal the spiritual wounds she believed had been inflicted upon her kingdom. Her methods, however, proved to be her undoing. The burnings, far from quelling dissent, only served to inflame tensions, further dividing her people and solidifying her image as Bloody Mary. The Spanish king, a loveless match and its reckoning.
As queen, Mary faced another challenge, one that would test both her political acumen and her personal strength. Marriage, a political necessity for a female ruler, became another source of turmoil and heartbreak. In 1554, she married Philip II of Spain, a union that would have profound consequences for England's future. Philip, a devout Catholic and a powerful European ruler, saw England as a strategic prize, a key to expanding his influence and combating the growing Protestant threat on the continent. Mary, for her part, hoped that the marriage would secure a Catholic heir, solidifying her legacy and ensuring that England remained under the Catholic faith.
The English people, however, viewed the union with suspicion. Philip, a foreigner, was seen as a threat to English sovereignty. The marriage, childless and loveless, became a symbol of Mary's increasingly tenuous grip on power. Fate once again dealt Mary a cruel hand. 2 phantom pregnancies, symptoms likely caused by a tumor, shattered her hopes of producing an heir. Her health, always fragile, began to deteriorate. England, weary of religious strife and disappointed by the Queen's failure to produce an heir, braced itself for another tumultuous transition of power. Section 5, Legacy of Fire Martyr, Monster or Monarch. Mary Tudor died in 1558, her reign cut short after just 5 years. Her death, met with a mix of relief and indifference, ushered in a new era for England. Her half-sister, Elizabeth I, daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, ascended the throne, determined to heal the religious divisions that had plagued their nation.
Mary's legacy, however, remains a subject of debate and controversy. Was she a bloodthirsty tyrant, a religious fanatic who unleashed a reign of terror upon her people? Or was she a tragic figure, a devout Catholic queen caught in the cross-currents of history, her actions shaped by the political and religious turmoil of her time?
The answer, as with most historical figures, is complex and nuanced. Mary was a product of her time, her worldview shaped by her upbringing, her faith and the political realities of Tudor England. She was a woman of deep convictions, unwavering in her belief that she was acting in the best interests of her kingdom and her God.
History, however, remembers her as Bloody Mary, her name synonymous with religious persecution. Her reign, though brief, left an indelible mark on England's psyche, a stark reminder of the dangers of religious extremism and the human cost of intolerance. Yet, amidst the flames and the bloodshed, we catch glimpses of a more complex figure, a queen who loved her country, clung to her faith, and ruled to the best of her ability in an era defined by upheaval and uncertainty.
Marie Antoinette's grand entrance, Vienna, 1755. A Habsburg princess, barely a teenager, waltzed into a world of privilege and expectation. Betrothed to the Dauphin of France, her marriage cemented an alliance between powerful dynasties. Her destiny, like a gilded cage, led her to power and ultimately to the executioner's block.
My arrival in France was a spectacle of grandeur. I crossed a bridge symbolizing the union of two empires, yet beneath the surface lay a current of unease.
The young Dauphine struggled in a world of rigid etiquette and courtly machinations. Her Austrian upbringing made her an easy target for gossip and slander. Discontent set the stage for a revolution that shook France and Europe to its core. Marie Antoinette presided over a court of unparalleled splendor. The Palace of Versailles, a monument to royal ambition, became her gilded cage. Beneath the opulent facade, the young queen struggled to find fulfillment.
My marriage to Louis XVI remained unconsummated for years, a source of endless speculation. The pressure to produce an heir weighed heavily on my shoulders.
The birth of a daughter did little to quell the whispers about Marie Antoinette's supposed inability to fulfill her duties. The pressure to produce a male heir only intensified.
To escape the court, I sought refuge at the Petit Trianon, indulging in music, theatre, and fashion.
This retreat fueled resentment among those who saw in the Queen's extravagance a betrayal of her royal duty. The French people, burdened by crushing taxes, food shortages, and a system of governance that seemed deaf to their pleas for reform, watched the excesses of Versailles with growing anger and resentment.
The infamous let them eat cake anecdote, though likely apocryphal, perfectly encapsulated the growing disconnect between the monarchy and the people. Whether or not I actually uttered those words, the sentiment attributed to me resonated with a public increasingly disillusioned with their rulers.
The Queen's lavish expenditures on fashion, jewels, and entertainment, though relatively insignificant in the grand scheme of the French economy, became a powerful symbol of the monarchy's extravagance and perceived indifference to the plight of the common people.
Pamphlets and cartoons depicting me as a spendthrift harlot, a foreign queen draining France's coffers, circulated widely, further fueling the flames of discontent.
As the economic crisis deepened and the calls for reform grew louder, Marie Antoinette found herself increasingly isolated, both within the court and from the people she was supposed to represent. Her enemies, sensing weakness, spread rumors of her supposed sexual escapades, her alleged treasonous correspondence with Austria, and her extravagance, painting her as a threat to the very fabric of French society. The stage was set for a revolution, and Marie Antoinette, once the darling of Versailles, would find herself caught in its unforgiving grip. The year 1789 dawned with an undercurrent of unrest that would soon erupt into revolution. The storming of the Bastille, a symbol of royal authority, on July 14, 1789, marked a turning point in French history, signaling the end of the absolute monarchy and the beginning of a new era of liberty, equality, and fraternity.
For me, the revolution was both a personal and political cataclysm. My world, once defined by the rigid protocols of Versailles, was shattered, replaced by fear, uncertainty, and the spectre of violence. The walls of my gilded cage, once a symbol of power and privilege, now seemed to be closing in, threatening to crush me and my family.
As the revolution gained momentum, the royal family found themselves increasingly isolated and vulnerable. Their attempts to flee France in 1791, thwarted at Varennes, only served to further erode public support for the monarchy. The image of the king and queen, disguised as commoners attempting to escape their own people, confirmed their worst fears. The monarchs were traitors, more concerned with their personal safety than the welfare of their subjects.
Imprisoned within the Tuileries Palace in Paris, I faced the growing fury of the revolution with remarkable courage and dignity. I refused to abandon my husband and children, even as the threat of violence loomed ever larger.
Her enemies, however, were relentless, determined to eradicate not only the monarchy but also the queen they saw as its embodiment of corruption and decadence. The abolition of the monarchy in 1792 and the execution of Louis XVI in January 1793 marked the beginning of the Reign of Terror, a period of extreme violence and political repression. Marie Antoinette, stripped of her title and now known as Widow Capet, faced the prospect of her own demise with stoic resolve.
Imprisoned in the conciergerie, a former royal palace turned prison, I endured months of solitary confinement, my spirit unbroken despite the deprivation and uncertainty that surrounded me. I refused to cooperate with my jailers, maintaining my dignity and composure even as they subjected me to humiliation and abuse.
Her trial, a sham orchestrated by her political enemies, was a foregone conclusion. Accused of treason, incest, and a litany of other crimes, Marie Antoinette defended herself with a quiet dignity that belied the gravity of the charges against her. Her fate, however, had already been sealed.
On October 16th, 1793, I was transported through the streets of Paris in an open cart, my hands bound behind my back, my once lustrous hair now shorn close to my scalp. The crowds, once eager to catch a glimpse of their queen, now jeered and hurled insults at the woman they held responsible for their suffering.
As she ascended the scaffold, Marie Antoinette's composure never wavered. She met her death with a courage that surprised even her detractors.
My final words, "I am innocent, as the daughter of the Caesars was innocent," echoed through the centuries, a testament to the enduring spirit of a queen who faced her fate with grace and fortitude.
The year was 1744. A young German princess, barely 15, arrived in the frozen expanse of Russia. Sophie Friederike Augusta von Anhalt-Zerbst, soon to be known as Catherine, had been chosen as a bride for the heir to the Russian throne.
Ambition burned bright in my eyes, a fire that would melt the icy barriers of court.
Catherine possessed remarkable adaptability and a keen intellect.
I embraced Russian culture, mastered the language, and converted to orthodoxy.
She quickly realized her husband, the Grand Duke Peter, was a weak and ineffectual ruler. She immersed herself in Enlightenment philosophy, shaping her vision for a modern, enlightened Russia. The air crackled with tension. Peter III, Catherine's husband, ascended the throne in 1762. His reign, however, would be short-lived, marked by erratic behavior and unpopular policies that alienated the Russian nobility and the powerful military. Catherine, observing the growing discontent, saw her opportunity.
I had cultivated allies within the court and the military, men who recognized my intelligence, my strength, and my potential as a ruler.
On June 28, 1762, with the support of her lover, Grigory Orlov, and a contingent of loyal guards, Catherine staged a bloodless coup. Peter III, caught off guard, abdicated the throne.
The foreign princess, who had once been dismissed as a mere pawn in the game of power, had become empress of all the Russias.
Her reign, however, began under the shadow of conspiracy and bloodshed. Peter III died under mysterious circumstances shortly after his abdication, likely murdered on Catherine's orders. The spectre of his death, a stain on her conscience and her legacy, would haunt her throughout her reign.
Determined to secure my grip on power and legitimize my rule, I embarked on a campaign to consolidate my authority and win the support of the Russian people. I understood that power to be lasting had to be more than just brute force. It required a delicate balance of strength, diplomacy, and a carefully cultivated public image.
Catherine, a master strategist, would excel in all three. Catherine the Great, a title she bestowed upon herself, envisioned a Russia transformed, a nation that could take its rightful place among the great powers of Europe. Inspired by the Enlightenment ideal she had embraced in her youth, she embarked on an ambitious program of reform, seeking to modernize Russia's government, economy, and society.
I reorganized the Russian administrative system, established a system of local self-government, and codified Russian law. I promoted education, founding schools for girls, and establishing the Smolny Institute, the first state-funded institution of higher learning for women in Europe.
A patron of the arts and sciences, she expanded the Hermitage Museum, turning it into one of the world's greatest repositories of art and culture. Her reforms, however, were often met with resistance from the entrenched nobility, who saw their power and privilege threatened by Catherine's modernizing zeal.
The Pugachev Rebellion, a peasant uprising led by the Cossack Emelian Pugachev, shook the empire to its core. The rebellion, brutally suppressed by my forces, exposed the limits of my enlightened despotism and the deep-seated social and economic inequalities that plagued Russian society.
Catherine, though shaken by the rebellion, emerged from the crisis with her authority intact. She recognized the need to balance her reformist impulses with the realities of governing a vast multi-ethnic empire.
I would continue to pursue my vision of a modern, powerful Russia, but with a pragmatic understanding of the limits of change and the importance of maintaining order and stability. Catherine the Great's reign was not just defined by political intrigue and social reforms. My personal life, a tapestry woven from passion, ambition, and heartbreak, became the stuff of legend, fueling gossip in the courts of Europe and adding another layer of complexity to my already enigmatic persona.
Her numerous love affairs, often with men who were both her lovers and her political allies, became legendary. Grigory Potemkin, her most enduring and influential favorite, was a brilliant military commander, a shrewd political operator, and the love of her life. Their relationship, a complex mix of passion, power, and mutual respect, had a profound impact on both Catherine's personal life and her reign.
The Potemkin villages, a term used to describe elaborate facades constructed to impress me during my tour of Crimea, became a metaphor for the illusion and artifice that often characterized courtly life. Whether or not the villages were entirely fictional, as some accounts suggest, the story highlights the power of image and the lengths to which rulers would go to project an aura of power and prosperity.
Catherine's love affairs, though the subject of much gossip and speculation, were not merely personal indulgences. She understood that in a male-dominated world, her sexuality could be a source of both power and vulnerability. She used her relationship strategically, rewarding loyalty, securing alliances, and advancing her political agenda. Her personal life, like her reign, was a testament to her intelligence, her pragmatism, and her unwavering determination to rule in her own right.
Catherine the Great died in 1796, my reign spanning over 3 decades, one of the longest and most consequential in Russian history. I left behind a legacy as complex and contradictory as the empire I ruled.
She was an enlightened despot, a reformer, a patron of the arts and sciences, and a ruthless autocrat who crushed dissent and expanded her empire through military conquest. Her reign marked a golden age for Russia, a period of territorial expansion, economic growth, and cultural flowering.
I transformed Russia into a major European power, my armies victorious on the battlefield, my diplomats shaping the course of European politics. My patronage of the arts and sciences left an enduring legacy, transforming St. Petersburg into a cultural capital and fostering a Russian enlightenment that would have a profound impact on the nation's intellectual and artistic development.
Yet her reign was also marked by the persistence of serfdom, the brutal suppression of peasant uprisings, and the widening gap between the wealthy elite and the impoverished masses. Her reforms, though significant, did little to alleviate the suffering of the vast majority of her subjects.
I remain an enigma, a ruler who embodied the contradictions of my time. I was a product of the Enlightenment, yet I ruled with an iron fist. I championed education and culture, yet I presided over a system that kept millions in bondage. My legacy, like my life, is a testament to the complexities of power, the enduring allure of ambition, and the challenges of balancing reform with the realities of maintaining order in a vast and turbulent empire.
A scarlet thread of scandal runs through the lives of these women. Cleopatra, Mary, Marie, Catherine, their names evoke historical moments and whispered rumors. History often reduces complex figures to their most scandalous moments. These women refused to be defined solely by whispers. They were rulers, mothers, lovers, and fighters, shaping history through intelligence and will. Their scandals reveal more about the societies that condemned them. Cleopatra's liaisons were twisted by Roman propaganda. Mary Tudor's fervent Catholicism earned her the moniker Bloody Mary. Marie Antoinette became a symbol of extravagance, scrutinized by the public. Catherine the Great couldn't escape whispers about her love affairs. Their stories continue to resonate centuries later. The scarlet thread of scandal has become part of their mystique. These women dared to challenge the status quo and refused to be silenced. The echoes of their ambitions still resonate today, reminding us that power is not defined by gender, but by the courage to claim it. These women offer both inspiration and cautionary tales for those who dare to dream big. Cleopatra's story reminds us that women can be as cunning and ambitious as their male counterparts. Mary Tudor's reign is a stark reminder of the human cost of religious intolerance. Marie Antoinette's fate serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of unchecked power. Catherine the Great's reign highlights the transformative power of education and new ideas. These women, united by their courage and ambition, have an enduring impact on the world. Their stories continue to inspire and remind us that the pursuit of power is not solely a male domain.